right here. Episode.
Okay. That's quite enough. Welcome, everyone, to episode 45 of the Our 2 Cents podcast. I am your gracious host, Admir, and sitting across from me in his just incredible aura and superiority is partner in crime, Chris. He's dabbing on all the haters out there, all 5 of you. Welcome to this week's episode. A little special. We will not be reviewing a movie. That's right. We will not be reviewing a movie. Does it say in the title it has to be a film? We're going to be reviewing what could potentially be the breakout show of the year. Chris, what are we reviewing?
We're reviewing True Detective.
True Detective. That's right. Drew Carey.
Detective.
His anthology of detectives. No, we are, of course, reviewing True Detective, the first 2 episodes that were released on HBO Sunday night. Big deal, this show, Chris.
Absolutely.
Big deal. I think the first season has had a sufficient, dare I say, cult following, with the second season taking a bit of a dip in terms of critical and fan response. But here they are back, and they just went,
bonkers
over and beyond here to really set the stage for a season that would be, recapture that magic that first season had. And I usually go out on a limb when people ask me how I feel about the first season. I usually say that's like, in terms of one season just packages, that's probably in my top 5. I don't watch too much TV, but when I do watch it, I'm very selective and picky, but just because of the time that you have to sort of give to these shows. But that first season, I think I watched in like 3 days. I was telling you, and that's like 8 episodes, so I fit it in quite easily into my schedule. So here we are. This was a season that got really decent reviews as well. I think not as high as the first season, but it did quite well critically. And we had the pleasure to enjoy the first 2 episodes. Thank you to HBO for being so nice and just giving us 2 instead of 1. How sweet of them.
Goat channel, goat.
Yeah, and so today we're going to just, this is of course going to be a spoiler review because it's absolutely pointless to be talking non-spoilers at this point of a TV show. So yeah, we're going to just discuss much of what happened, give our thoughts, see where the show's going, and yeah. So, Chris, do you want to start it? Or do you want me to?
I guess since you kind of echoed your thoughts, I think it would be fitting if I echoed mine.
Oh, you echo away, man. Just echo the shit out of your thoughts.
I also think the first season of True Detective is one of the greatest seasons of television.
Can you stop stealing my shit?
That's what I have to do because you go first a lot. But nonetheless, and of course, a lot of people. Now, you haven't seen season 2.
I haven't. No.
I actually have.
So you're a bigger fan than I am.
Yeah. The thing is, so here's the thing.
What's the thing?
Season 2, it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Because I think that's a misconception of people.
Yeah.
I think first of all, I think it finishes off really strong.
Okay.
Like the last few episodes are really good.
Okay.
IMO.
TBH.
Yeah, IRL.
Yeah.
So, metaphorically speaking, this is how I compare True Detective to Nas's discography, whatever.
Okay, all right.
Think about it.
Yeah, go ahead, yes.
Season 1 is so godlike. Illmatic is so godlike.
Right.
So obviously when you put out your best work so early on,
right,
people are just going to be like, well, it's not as... everything that follows, people are going to be like, oh, it's not as good as whatever.
Yeah, you set the bar, so now you have to beat your own standard.
Yeah.
Which is difficult, yeah.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. And there was a lot of bitching from people that season 2 just wasn't as good as the first one.
Sure.
I didn't expect it to be, but it was different. That's what I'll give it credit for.
Right.
So this season, it seems that they're trying to go back to the old formula, which, in my opinion, it's fine. But I always think you should always put in something different. Okay. That's why I kind of respect the second season a little more than most people.
Sure.
But you have Mahershala Ali, so you could go no wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
you could go wrong, but very minimal.
Right. So he's always going to pull up and perform. So I guess we can start there about his performance, because that's going to be the main talking point for most people. And obviously, I'm going to be speaking from the history of just having seen only the first season, and of course, you have the privilege of having seen both. So at least we're coming from different places here with this, so that'll be interesting. But Mahershala Ali, he's playing 3 different versions of himself, basically. I think one in the 70s. No, one in the 80s, one in the 90s, and one in the present. So 2015 is his present self. And he's battling dementia in his eldest version.
I thought it was Alzheimer's.
Or Alzheimer's. I think dementia is a side effect that might be stupid. So, yeah, that might be the case. Oh, great. My laptop might have a virus. Ha! Let's just hope it doesn't ruin the podcast. Moving on. Yeah, so I think his performance is going to be the lightning rod for the first 2 episodes because in the first season, if I open up my memory book here, I really felt like the starring role was shared by McConaughey and Harrelson.
Yeah.
Whereas in this season, it seems like it's going to be dominated by Mahershala Ali and I forget the gentleman who plays Stephen
Urkel.
Nope. That's not who it is. The gentleman who plays Roland West is going to be, his partner is going to be he's going to be a supporting character more so in this season, I feel, than what we saw in season 1. However, I will say this.
Here we go again. You will say this.
Damn it. Yeah, just say it, Admir.
Just say it.
Who is getting in the way of you saying it? I don't know. But I will say this.
Okay.
As he points at the mic.
Stephen Dorff.
So he's the gentleman who plays Roland West. I honestly hope they do a decent job of fleshing him out because the relationship between the cops is so important to that first season. And I think it's so important for most of these drama shows because, I mean, hell, I even watch like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? And it's a comedy. But even at its core, you really... as much as we watch for the crime and the detection and who did what, it's also driven by the characters' relationships with one another. And I think McConaughey's and Harrelson were so sort of like butting heads.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, they were butting heads like at everything. And so it made it for an interesting way of how they would view very, the same events. And of course that impacted how they led their lives and so on and so forth in that season. So we're not going to review season 1 here, but in this season, I do hope that, and we do get glimpses of it, particularly when Mahershala sort of talks about how he has his issues being, an African American in the police force, and how his partner can't understand that, and then his partner sort of retaliates with, not necessarily that he's making shit up, but it's like, what was I really supposed to do either? So that will play. I really hope it does play a role going forward, and I do hope that we get some fleshing out of who Roland West is. How did he become a cop? We know he's also a vet as well. I think of the Vietnam War. So we have 2 veteran, two Army vets who are cops in this case. So I do hope they explore that dynamic as they move forward, and it doesn't just become, the murder.
I agree with you. That's actually, I guess because it's so early on, I don't know if I could consider it a flaw.
Yeah.
Because I did, because obviously Mahershala Ali is your guy that you're gonna kind of build around.
Yeah.
And I understand that. You did have 2 episodes to kind of give a little bit hint because I think it was just too dominated by Mahershala and his backstory. I think if they just spent like maybe 5 minutes on Roland,
maybe
it would have been beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I think because they also need to lay the groundwork of the crime.
True.
So I think it's also a way of enticing viewers. Again, so we're watching it in a format, and this is actually an important talking point. And I hope, I haven't had the chance to read too many articles about this, but the fact that this format of the show is that we're getting episodes every week, I think matters into how we review or look at this.
Yeah.
For example, I'm not going to have necessarily any flaws. Like I don't have flaws down here. I have positives, and then I have in another column what I want to see.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and call out flaws like it's really slow. Well, it's really slow because I don't know what the payoff will be. I don't mind shows that are slow so long as at the end the payoff matters because of what they built early on, right? Uh-huh. So for me, I'm trying to stay off of that. But yeah, as we're saying, they need to flesh out his character because it'll make him a compelling character for Mahershala to be around because he's around him all the time, right? Yeah. This is his partner. He really doesn't seem to be comfortable at home, at least in his like 1980s self. Even in the 90s, he doesn't seem to be very happy with his like life necessarily. So we need to see that back and forth a little bit, right? Not like the first season. And this is what I think needs to be important. It can't be like the first season. And I will say there is one positive of this. The first season, like the first episode you watch, like McConaughey starts going off on his ideology shit within like 20 seconds of the show. Like he's off. Like he's off and running, talking about how there's darkness and there's this and there's that. I remember watching it and I'm like, yo, is this dude serious? Like is he already starting with this shit? And you get used to it by like episode 3 or 4, right? But I feel like with this one, they're much less heavy-handed with the whole how each character views the world.
Yeah.
Like case in point, I think is that scene. We have it. We actually have episode 1 running in the background because we're like that. This is a podcast.
It's true. This is production value on 100.
Like you remember the scene where he's shooting at the rat and then he doesn't let his partner shoot at the fox. Yeah,
We're fox.
No, they're shooting at a rat first.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. I came at you. too. Sorry.
Take it back, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then they're shooting at the. He wants to shoot at the fox. Mahershala's character doesn't let him, and then they have a little back and forth in the car. I think that's important, right? But because we're only seeing one episode at a time, we don't know yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I think. Well, you're right because I think the first one. I guess they did it to kind of establish what McConaughey's character is, like right away.
Yeah.
Like you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
This one, I think it does add a layer of mystery.
Yep.
Which you could afford to do because you're going to tune in the next week. It's not like it's on Netflix and you just binge everything.
Yeah.
That is important though because you get to digest the story more organically, and you do get to think, what the hell is going to happen next? Highly important. IMO.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're done here. No.
Cheap segue.
No. Something else I wanted to say in terms of that, where this season is going to go. Another point I have here about what I want to see. What's
Forgot to say. So you were talking about slow burn. Well, that's a common thing with HBO shows.
Yeah.
You can see with The Wire and The Sopranos, they're all slow burn. Even the first season of True Detective is a little bit slow burn.
Leftovers is extremely slow burn.
And that turned out to be one of the greatest shows of all time, in my opinion.
Right.
But the thing is, with every HBO show I've seen, the payoff always hits.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I haven't seen Westworld yet either, but...
Yeah, Westworld is... Oh, wow, that's actually another one. I know so many people who watched the first couple episodes of Westworld and were just like, this isn't for me because well, that's also a very dense show. Like, it's a very, very dense show with a lot of shit going on in one episode. So it's a slow burn because it has to talk about like 18,000 things. Where I think shows like this are a slow burn with the same characters. And I think because of that, people can criticize it more because you see the same characters and they're not, quote, necessarily doing... I still feel like they're doing a lot. Like the first two episodes cover a lot of ground in terms of laying the sort of base for what the season is headed into.
But you need to because it's world building.
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to get into the world building. So there's clearly...
Wow, that's crazy. Like...
Wow, it's like we're partners. So... Again, I haven't had the chance to read too many articles or Reddit fan theories or whatever the case is, but this clearly seems to nod at the first season and second season in terms of who might be behind it or the actions of other seasons implicating the events in this one, right? So I think there's a couple names that come up. The spiral shit that they talk about, I think in episode 2 when the girl is talking to the elder Mahershala Ali. She mentioned something about a spiral sign that was a big deal in season 2. I didn't get to see it.
Season 2 or was it season 1?
I can't remember what it was. I don't remember it, so it might have been season 2. But here's my point. I get that you want to play it safe to a degree and bring that same energy of season 1 back. However, this needs to be its own thing.
You have to.
It needs to be its own thing. And I will say this, though. I think the nature of this crime is a lot different than what was going on in season 1.
Yeah.
Right? In season 1, it was like this gigantic, conspiracy that engulfed many, high-level people, right? And it was about cults. It was about groups of people. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this case, it still might lead to that. I don't know. But the crime in this case seems to be much more small scale.
Small scale, yep.
Right? And I think that'll let them do different things and explore different ideas and not like the grand, because at the end of this first season, you really, it's like this cosmological sort of arguments that McConaughey's making at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And they're very grand ideas. So I think, and it fit that thing because the end of the first season is absolutely off the wall, dude. There's some wild ass shit happens, mm-hmm. right? Whereas in this season, we're getting glimpses of that in the first couple episodes with like the dolls and shit, and the way that the boy is killed, and the way his body is set up. Uh-huh. But I hope they stay away from that fantasy realm of other shit getting, this like supernatural crap. I don't want to see the supernatural. This is just a personal thing. They can do the supernatural shit and pull it off, but this is just a personal thing. I think I would much rather be happier with them sticking to a sort of grounded approach because of the crime and because they already explored a little bit of that in season 1.
Gotta agree with you on that one. I do enjoy I actually enjoy the fantasy part in the first season.
Okay.
Because I think it's kind of refreshing. Because how many times have we seen like these cop dramas, and it's like you're gonna have the same thing. So adding that fantasy element kind of makes it its own thing. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And it entices you because you're just like, what the hell? And there's a lot of, as fans of philosophy,
right?
There's a lot of philosophical discussions in that first season.
Yeah.
Even in the second season to a lesser extent, but they're still there. I do agree with you because if it is small scale, which I do think they're doing in this season, there's more freedom.
I think so.
There's way more freedom. And you don't have to build up to this different type of world that you're trying to establish. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'll make for much more compelling viewing if we're not. I don't want to be bogged down in trying to link this with the first season.
Yeah,
like I don't want to do that. It's supposed to be an anthology. It's supposed to be by itself. There's a reason we have a whole new cast, and I'm okay with like giving nods to things that have happened in the past. I'm fine with that. I don't want to get into this whole, oh shit, I need to rewatch season 1 now. What the hell are they talking about? Let me Google this. Let me Google that. Like I don't want to do that.
Well, that's why, dude. That's why season 2 you appreciate it because it's completely its own thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to give it credit for that. From what you're saying, if it's its own thing. So definitely. Yeah. Is there anything else that sort of you're really hoping to see moving forward?
I'm pretty sure because they're gonna probably tackle everything I want to see. Probably, I mean, they're gonna get the interaction with the daughter.
Yeah, I mean that'll probably explain why that's the case.
And I do think that it's gonna because with these, like I think episode 4, like mid-season, that's where they start getting into it.
Yeah.
The relationship with his actual daughter, I think they're going to get into that. I kind of want to see because I don't know what happened.
Right.
But I do think it has to do with the mom or whatnot. And then you don't know how his marriage kind of failed because there's hints about it. Yeah. We're going to look at that. What happened to the actual kid.
How do you feel about the framing here? So we have the 3 different timelines.
So, first of all, I love the transitions where he's like talking to the camera. That's pretty unique. IMO. I got to stop saying that.
No. TBH.
Yeah. Really cool, really well done, I think. Is it a little too back and forth? A little bit.
Okay.
In my opinion. It's too back and forth where it kind of takes you out of it a little bit, which isn't a bad thing, but for pacing-wise, it kind of does take away from it.
I will say, though, it's sort of... because he's battling this mental disease, it does put us a little bit in his shoes where he's sort of floating from the past to the present and, and other times of his life, basically, right? So it does, I guess, from an artistic point of view, put us in that space of the way he feels in the present, right?
Yeah. I do like the fact that they didn't show, like, they just for the future, like the second and third time period, they're only showing him. Like they're not showing what happened to Roland.
No, yeah.
I like that because then you're forced to guess.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, and then you have his son and whatnot.
There is a mention, I think, in the 90s one where his like chief officer mentions how Roland is doing well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that means. So,
what did you think of the documentary True Criminal?
Yeah, I mean it's a very tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yeah.
It's a very tongue-in-cheek thing, and I think not HBO, but really the show is it's actually two things I want to talk about with this. So it's clearly making a point about how our society nowadays, we love our murder mystery criminal shit like that. How to make a murder? What is it?
I guess
the Netflix one.
Yeah,
that was huge. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that, but it was like massive for like a week, or like actually for a while. It was like 3-4 weeks. People were watching crazy. Like yeah, people watching it nonstop, and those are the only thing I could hear about. And so it's very funny how this show gets framed in that space. Like, it's a little bit Bandersnatchy, I will say.
Bandersnatch.
Yeah, of like putting us in that frame of like watching a TV show about a crime as they make a TV show about a crime in said show.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, there's probably going to be a little bit to explore what that means, that sort of framing, because we have now, it's these three very significant layers, and Mahershala Ali plays essentially three different people. Right, yeah. It's the same person, but people would change. I mean, from one, so it's the 80s one, and then there's a 90s one, so there's a 10-year difference, which is massive. And then there's a 2015 one, so that's 35 years.
25.
Is it 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, 25, Jesus. Yeah, it's 25 years. Yeah. What were the degrees for if I can't do math?
That's true. But I did read an article, I forgot which one.
Yeah.
But they brought up something interesting that... Because, he does have, like, whatever it is, Alzheimer's or dementia. Yeah. That could possibly lead to his recalling of the events maybe being skewed. Right,
yeah. So this is the thing. Like, this is actually something I learned in believe it or not, school. I actually learned this in school.
Oh, you went?
Funny. I actually used to go every now and then.
Kind of crazy.
I remember this, and I can't remember what we were reading or where the hell I got this from. I don't remember what point in my education this was, but it stood out to me. So people, when they watch a film or they read a book or they read a poem or blog or whatever the case is, right, we inherently assume that the maker of that piece has all the information.
Right.
Right. So, for example, when we watch a film where there's a narration, like take, I don't know, what film has narrations? Actually, a lot of films have narrations that are really popular. What stories like a retelling?
500 Days of Summer.
500 Days of Summer is one, okay. Right? So 500 Days of Summer is basically told through the narrator, right? So the narrator in that film is omniscient, omnipresent. He's around always, right? And we assume that the information we're getting from him is clean. It's not ruined, right? So there's many ways you can interpret that film, right? And that's one of those ways. And similarly here, right? We only see what. Are there scenes in the first two episodes without Mahershala Ali? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think
he's in every scene, right?
I think he's in every scene.
Oh no! I mean, the dad is like at the work site.
True. Okay. See, yeah. So okay, in that timeline at least.
Yeah.
In that timeline. So I think in the present timeline, I don't think we see any scenes without him. Okay? And I don't know if we're getting confirmation that the flashbacks are flashbacks or rather just transition points. And I think they matter. If they're flashbacks, that means there might be corruption in how the story is being told.
Yeah.
But if they're just a way for them to transition into telling you this other story, that's fine. That really doesn't play a role here. But yeah, it's really interesting because he might not remember it right. And this impacts the viewers because we're only seeing maybe only what he remembers.
And then that brings significance to Roland's character then.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's going to get involved, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his recalling, that'd be pretty interesting if they go with that, if they go down that route.
Yeah.
Or they kind of show his perspective, and it's a completely different story.
I'm just saying we're making a nice second season here.
That's what
or third season.
Hit us up, HBO.
Why don't we write season 4? No. So yeah, that's a great point. And the other thing I actually wanted to bring up to you is that the young female director who's directing the show, she's very, very.
Who is it?
I don't know who it is. Oh, the actor, you mean, or who am I talking about?
Who are you talking about?
The director of that true crime TV show.
The actress.
The actress, but not the actress, the character she plays.
Yeah.
Okay, so she says something to him that's very interesting. Okay,
I forgot what she said.
She says that line that reeks of just academic.
Oh yeah, okay.
Bullshit, right? And it's not bullshit. I'm saying bullshit. I'm being very sort of crass here, but she says something along the lines of, I'm really interested in understanding how marginalized people are not oppressed, but she says something about them not being taken to the same sort of level of respect or seriousness as their, non-marginalized fellow counterparts. And I mean, Mahershala Ali at this point is 70, 80, whatever years old, right?
I don't think he cares.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
What's funny is how removed from reality this woman is from his reality, because she's speaking in this academic speech. And this is a dude who's not going to hear that.
Yeah, because he's been through it.
Yeah. And you see the disconnect. And I love the scene, right? Because it speaks to what he thinks of this crime and what she thinks of this crime. And to an extent, what because we are the director here, right? The viewers are the director. We only know what she knows because of what he's saying, right? So it's a little bit, it's this perversion of how excited she is to learn about this crime, not necessarily because it's haunting her, because she was involved, because someone she loved was involved, or because it happened in her town. She's simply involved because of the interest she has in how, twisted it maybe was, or because how he was affected of it because of what she said, her
NYU speech. Yeah.
Her final, academic paper is going to be about whatever marginalized people in this sort of
very
setting.
Political.
Yeah, it's charged. But what's also interesting, it wasn't a selfish comment from her. I don't want to say selfish, because it's a very self-aware comment. And she's correct in what she was saying, but the way she was saying it underlines the disconnect between her and Mahershala's character, that he's living through a nightmare over and over and over and over and over, whereas she's not. She's basically profiting off what he has to tell her, right? She's making only gains in this situation, while he has to sort of relive what is necessarily a nightmare, right? In most cases, people will say this is a nightmare, right? Because it's bringing up not only these feelings of the fact that he failed to solve the case, or at least one of these kids died, but then he's also having to relive his wife and all that other emotional stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I think that could be an interesting little thing that they explore as they move forward in the show. Yeah.
Agree with you on that one. Agreed. What do you think of the suspects we got so far? This will be like the last question, but
I don't think anyone we've met so far did it. It's actually very funny, because in the first season, I think we meet the dude who did it very quickly, very off-screenish almost.
Yeah, but they were smart because
it's very smart,
because it's like the lawnmower guy that no one pays attention to.
That's what I mean. Well, so I don't think they're gonna go the same route here.
They shouldn't, because and I think everyone is like. Clearly, they think, in my opinion, that it's going to be the trash guy.
No,
it's not going to be him. Because that's too easy.
That was a great scene, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think they're good acting, by the way.
He really. I mean, you feel for this dude.
Yeah.
So bad. I mean, he not only did he lose his family, he's a veteran. He looks like he's Native American, man.
Yeah.
So like, there's this whole package of crap just going against him, and he has this one line, and Fahad wouldn't shut the hell up about this line.
You saw it?
He saw it. Yeah, he saw it, and he says, "Are you ever in a place that you couldn't leave, but also couldn't be in at the same time?"
He put it on his Instagram story.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. But he says that line, and it's such a weird line. The conversation we have between him and Mahershala is so important, because it's I think more than what we get between him and Roland so far.
Yeah,
we get an insight into where Mahershala is mentally. And he talks about how he puts on the suit, he does a job, clocks in, clocks out. And, the trash man asks him, he's like, well, don't you ask yourself why you do it? And he's like, I don't ask myself those questions.
All right.
Right? Almost implying that if he did, he wouldn't have an answer. And once you don't have an answer to that question,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you living for? Is where you hit that brick wall. So, very tense. He had this, he had a tick about the way he would speak that clearly showed you he isn't all there.
Yeah.
Right? And he did it masterfully. Whoever the actor is, man, he just sold the shit out of that scene. And the last thing I have here as a positive for me, the intro music, I adore.
This is every season. They get the intro music right. It fits
but
whatever.
It's so good, man.
It is.
I had the song today. It's actually for Cassandra Wilson. It's Death Note, or Death Letter is the name of the song.
Death Note?
It's such a good song, dude. I had it on replay all day today in the morning. And I absolutely loved it. It's probably the only show I don't skip the intro for.
Oh, wow.
Westworld, I also leave play because it's really cool.
Isn't it the same people?
I don't know, who make the intro music and shit?
No, not the music, but they do like the design for the intro.
Might be, because Westworld's design is absolutely stunning.
Well, I know that the people who designed the intro for True Detective did Daredevils.
Yeah, and Daredevil is fantastic.
Yeah.
Too. Daredevil had a magnificent...
R.I.P. Daredevil.
R.I.P. And the last thing I wanted to say, the setting. Really cool setting.
Yeah, it fits.
Really cool. The Ozarks, apparently. Not that marshy situation we had the first season, not that like swampy area.
Well, Louisiana,
Yeah,
so
this is more like dry foresty place. So it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe.
Very, very isolated and desolate. I'm just waiting for them to come to Queens, and then
there's too many people here.
We get the ball rolling. Well, exactly. How great would that would be? You have a bunch of suspects.
An infinity amount of suspects.
An Infinity War Endgame amount of suspects.
Endgame, you say?
What?
Is that it? Any final thoughts? HBO has me by the neck.
By the huevos.
Okay? I was telling you this. I haven't watched a TV show like this, one episode per week, since Breaking Bad 6 years ago.
I know. We've talked about
I
this.
binge my shit. I don't have time. First of all, I've never been caught up in a TV show this early on to like watch as it's on TV.
Well,
even Game of Thrones, I'm going to ram down my throat and then watch the last season.
I'm sorry for this because I kind of put you up to this.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to get to Game of Thrones.
I will.
Quick, dog.
Do not worry, my child.
It's 3 months away.
It's fine. We're good.
But you can't enjoy it as much. Because you're going to be eating it like pizza.
Chris, no. I enjoy my stuff. I watch on the TV, and then afterwards I read recaps. I watch explanations. I'm good with that.
And for all you that just haven't guessed yet, we will be reviewing Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we'll be doing that too. So moving forward, just
more
so we
TV
can explain.
shows.
Yeah, we're gonna have the spoiler reviews for the films that we watch. Next week we're gonna do
Glass.
We're gonna do Glass, and I think the week after that it'll probably be If Beale Street Could Talk, and then of course
It's a street.
It's a street, yeah, that speaks. And of course we'll supplement those episodes with reviews of for the next 6 weeks at least, True Detective. So that'll be fun moving forward. It'll allow us to explore, and I think Game of Thrones will take us into the summer, which will be fun. Holy hell, summer's already here. Thanks for hanging with us, Chris. Any final messages? Any final thoughts?
2019 is a big year.
Huge year.
There's a lot of blockbuster movies.
It's a lot of shit.
A lot of shit. Which means numbers.
Which means having fun.
Sure. Two different types of people in this world.
Having fun isn't hard, Chris.
When you've got a library card.
There you go. Screw the movies. Go to the library. Read
Anyone who knows that reference, DM me on Twitter.
Shout out to you. All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us. Week 45. Let's calm down.
Allegedly,
45. We think it's 45.
Yeah.
This was episode 1 and 2 of season 3 of True Detective.
A lot of numbers.
This was, way too many numbers. Chris at Not D'Amico on Twitter. I'm at the Ed Miracle. Thanks for chilling with us. We will catch you next week. Again, we're going to do the film Glass, and then we'll chat about episode 3 here. See you next week, guys.
Deuces.